The Week in Imaging MPS Marketing Readiness webinar is your MPS marketing in the rough. It's great to have you with us today. I'm Scott Cullen, Editorial Director of ENX Magazine and the Week in Imaging. Also joining us is Susan Nimas, Publisher and Managing Editor of ENX and the Week in Imaging, and our presenter, Christian Pepper, Director of Marketing and Business Intelligence at LMI Solutions. Now, in the interest of full disclosure here, I do want to let you all know that Christian has had a power outage at his house, so he's conducting the webinar from a Wi-Fi hotspot in his truck. So please bear with us. We're flying on a wing and a prayer this afternoon, and we're hoping that the next 45 to 60 minutes will go relatively smoothly from here on out. Anyway, a couple of housekeeping notes before we begin. If you can't see the screen in your existing browser, you may be more successful opening it in a different browser. That's one of the idiosyncrasies we've discovered with our GoToWebinar here. You're also welcome to submit your questions using the Q&A box at any time, and we'll try to get to as many of those as possible at the end of the presentation. And the audio presentation, along with the slides, will be available to you within 24 hours. An email will be sent as a reminder. And your feedback on today's webinar is also welcome. To participate in a short survey, please answer the questions in the survey box on the right side of the console at the end of the webinar. Well, Christian Pepper is responsible for marketing, new product development, and business intelligence at LMI Solutions. He joined the company in July of 2014 after 18 years in the document imaging industry, working with some of the leading printer manufacturers and remanufacturers. Now, please welcome Christian Pepper.
Hello, everybody, and it's glad to be with you. As Scott said, I'm talking to you live from a hotspot on my cell phone in my truck. We've had a very challenging day today, but hopefully everything's going to run great unless I hit my data plan on my cell phone. So hopefully everything will go smoothly from here on in. So once again, thank you to ENX Magazine for giving us this opportunity to talk to you today, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend maybe 45 minutes to an hour with me today. And as I will be going through our presentation, which is called Is Your MPS Marketing in the Rough, I'm going to be covering 10 key areas in the discipline of digital marketing, which will help you succeed in your business. And the format we're going to use is the same as we did a few weeks ago when we did a sales readiness webinar. And so I'm going to cover these 10 areas in the form of asking you to evaluate your current business performance with 10 key questions. So in order to get the most out of this webinar, if you could grab a sheet of clean paper or a page in your notebook and write down the left-hand side 1 through 10, and then as we go through these 10 questions, you can score yourself from 1 to 10 on your current company's performance. And then at the end of the webinar, the scores that you have that were low, they'll become your action points to take away back to your business to hopefully then work on and help your marketing improve. So just a quick introduction to LMI Solutions if you don't know us. Our mantra is sustainable profitability, and that stems from the environmental services that we offer within our company. We have a deep respect for the environment. We're a green organization, but in addition to that, we have a number of products and services and tools that we believe give resellers a sustainable advantage in their marketplace today. So we're well known for producing top quality remanufactured consumables, but we've also moved into the area of producing remanufactured hardware. Recently, if you're familiar with our company, you probably saw that we acquired Parts Now. They joined our family, so we've diversified into print parts. And then the area which I'm going to talk to you about today is where we help resellers in the MPS space with digital marketing. So a lot of what I'm going to talk to you about today comes from the heart of our organization, and I'll be showing you some case studies of the things that we're talking about from some of our partners that we've worked with. So before I begin, I want to thank all of the companies who I showcase in today's presentation for allowing us to share with you some of the competitive advantages that they're bringing to bear in the marketplace today. And we hope that these will help you too. So we're going to cover digital marketing, and the thrust of it is going to be about your website and how your website can really help your business grow. And the two central questions that I'm going to answer throughout those 10 points that we cover today are these two. Can you measure the return on investment of your marketing spend? And does your website generate sales leads? And what I mean by that is that when we've done variations of this presentation live with dealers, I've asked them to put their hands in the air and say, all the money you spend on marketing, are you able to measure the return on investment for that? You know, people, put your hands in the air if you can. And we found that a lot of resellers can't. So think about all those marketing dollars which you're spending in your company without actually being able to track the results of where you place your marketing activities. So hopefully I'm going to be able to show you some ways today in which you can measure an ROI on your digital marketing activities. And then the second area, which is really important because we're going to be talking about websites for most of this session, is often people's websites are what I call a one-way street. They're like a storefront or a shop window that people can look into, but they're not bi-directional. They're just like they just show your products and services. And today, in the 21st century, our website can be so much more than that. It can be an extension of our sales organization, and it can help you engage with customers and garner sales leads that your team can turn into actual customers. So here are the 10 areas that we're going to cover with the following questions. You don't need to write them down immediately right now because I'm going to go through each one and spend 2 or 3 minutes on each question anyways. But again, if you haven't got that piece of paper or clean sheet in your notebook to hand, please get it, because if you make some notes as we go, you'll get the most out of this particular session. So to begin and give you a little bit of background, here's some statistics and facts about what we're talking about. So by 2020, according to Forbes, 60% of workers will be millennials. Now, I'm not sure if you're kind of the same age as me, but I'm not a millennial. I missed it by 1 year. I was born in 1975, and a millennial is someone that was born from 76 to about 2003. So I'm a Generation X person, but basically millennials, they are the future of our workforce, and then the Generation Z, the people that are coming after them. And these two quotes I find really important, and I'm going to refer back to them as we go, which is 70% of consumers perform online searches before buying products and services, according to Gartner. And Ricoh have found out that today's buyers are 57% down the buying cycle before they engage a sales rep. Think about that personally for a second. What do you do when you're searching for a new car, a new home, a new telephone, or a new tablet, for example? Are you a bit like me and so many other people that are kind of research/data junkies? And I think you probably are. I think whenever you're looking to buy something, you do a huge amount of research on the internet. You check out all the different products. You find the places that you can buy it from, and you do your research before you come up with a shortlist and engage an organization that you might want to work with. And that's the way things are moving in today's marketplace. You know, so in case you haven't realized, your buyer has changed. The gentleman on the left is probably a baby boomer, and he responded to what we call traditional media and traditional marketing and advertising. You know, he was receptive to print ads, television commercials, probably even to cold calls via the telephone. And today's new media buyer has moved on from that. They're not really receptive to that sales patter or sales pitch anymore. And so I want to introduce you to the marketing demographic or marketing term that we call Buyer 2.0. And Buyer 2.0 is a late generation X person or a millennial who has grown up and lives their life online. They're very knowledgeable consumer or business purchaser. They're very demanding, and their time is constrained. We all know how many, how much information we're being bombarded with in today's modern economy. And so this buyer, the thing that's really important about them is they don't want to be sold to. They don't like salespeople. What they want instead is they want to be guided through a purchasing process. They want to make a buying decision. So we need to shift our mindset a little bit. And Buyer 2.0, because of all the research that they do, which leads to that knowledge that they have, they look at online reviews in much the same way that you do when you're looking for a restaurant. I bet you go to Yelp or Urban Spoon. They read blogs, and they engage in social media in order to validate products and services. So I'm going to be covering in this presentation how we get found by Buyer 2.0, how we engage with Buyer 2.0, and then how we convert Buyer 2.0 to become customers in our organization, and then how we can measure the ROI on that marketing activity. So if you're ready and you've got that piece of paper, let's run through those 10 questions now. The first question relates to getting found and a Google search. So how would you answer this particular question? We come up high on Google search rankings for managed print in our area. Now, if you were on the sales readiness webinar a couple of weeks ago, this might sound like a little bit of deja vu because we covered this same question, but from a sales team perspective. This time, we're going to answer it from a digital marketing perspective. And this is what happens, for example, with one of our customers, Ray Morgan, that we've worked with, when you Google managed print services in Chico. And I want to draw your attention to this screenshot of the Google search results and explain to you what we're seeing. So the first thing you can see where we've whited out the areas above and to the right of the organic search results, which I'll come back to in a second, you'll see the paid advertising slot. So those are the areas where other companies have paid money to get featured by Google in paid advertising. Now, a couple of things here. First thing is, the more paid adverts that there are on a Google search like this, the more competitive those search terms are and the more expensive they are. So don't be surprised that if you click on one of these search terms that you will be spending somewhere in the region of about $1 of that company's money in order to click on the link. Sorry, let me just stop my phone from ringing in the background. The second thing about pay-per-click search is that research shows us that about 80% of people that do a Google search pay no attention to paid advertising. Again, think about that again from a personal perspective. When you do a Google search, do you click on the paid advert? I think you don't. I think you gravitate towards the organic search criteria instead. So let's come on to that organic search there, where Ray Morgan is featured first. What we're finding is that the top 5 results get about 75% of all the visits and all the internet traffic from that particular search term. So you've probably heard before that it's incredibly important to get on the first page of Google, and now you can see why. If you're on the second or third page of Google, your chance of being found by Buyer 2.0, your share of the eyeballs is somewhere in the region of about 25% of all of the traffic. So it's incredibly important to get on the first page with organic search. And how do you do that? You've got to make sure that you've invested in your website so that your website has content that is relevant to what buyers in your industry and in your marketplace are searching for. And that's what we've done where we've helped Ray Morgan. Here's another example. This is Managed Print Services in Phoenix, another reseller that we work with, Canon Office Solutions. Again, they've worked with us, and we've ensured that they have a lot of relevant educational content on their website related to managed print services in Phoenix, and that means that they stand this really high chance of getting found and high in the search results for Google. And of course, this applies to Bing and other search engines as well. And I've also highlighted that we come up as LMI Solutions pretty highly because whilst we're not a reseller, there's a lot of content related to managed print services and Phoenix on our website too. So this is the first part of the best practice is you want to ensure that the content on your site is speaking to your customers so that when they search on Google, they can find you. And I'm going to show you a few more examples in a minute of how you can get better at this. The second question then relates to getting found still. And this is, how would you answer this? Our website is 100% mobile friendly. So I'm betting that you're watching this webinar on your desktop PC right now, and you've probably got your phone in your hand. So whilst I'm talking, do this. Google your own, sorry, don't Google, just go to your own website and type in your URL and take a look at it on your phone. How does it display? Is it optimized so that people can view your site on your phone? Now this is incredibly important because the graph here on the left shows you that in late 2013, the amount of traffic and pages that were viewed by users on mobile devices exceeded that of traffic viewed on traditional desktop devices. So if you're looking at your website right now on your phone and it's not displaying properly, unfortunately this quote here on the right hand side probably applies to your business, which is that 61% of people who use their mobile device to visit a website that was not optimized for mobile, unfortunately, visited the website of a competitor instead. So again, a really key best practice is make sure that your website is optimized for mobile browsing. So now we just talked about a couple of headline ways that you can improve your ability to get found. We're going to start moving out of getting found and moving into engaging with buyer 2.0 and the things that today's modern buyer are looking for when they're exploring your website. And the first area we're going to cover is video. So how would you answer this question? We fully leverage the power of video on our website and sales presentations. Please rank yourself from 1 to 10 on this one too. And we covered this topic very briefly in the sales readiness webinar rather, and several people emailed me directly and said, hey, can you tell me a bit more about this? So I wanted to put up a few statistics for you on this slide for you to look through, and you're reading them as I'm talking, so let me just concentrate on a couple which are important. The first one is on the left there, that viewers retain 95% of a message when they watch it in video compared to 10% when they read it in text. So that's the power of engaging with your audience. You're going to have much more success if you have videos on your website than if it's all text-based. And the second thing that comes back to that, that objective of getting found on the internet is that video on a website increases the likelihood of first-page Google rankings by 53%. That's huge, right? So here's an example of one of our resellers, RE Business Solutions, who has popped one of our videos onto their page where they're talking about their environmental services. So just look at this for a second as the viewer. What do you gravitate towards? Are you going to read that text talking about their green solutions, or do you naturally want to click that video and watch that short minutes presentation on their environmental services? I think they've done a great job here. Well, let me show you what can happen when you take video in a website to a totally different level. And we're going to look at one of our partners, National Business Equipment, who've done a great job here. They have a video library in their website that answers all the common questions that customers would want to know about them in the products and services that they offer, especially in the area of managed print. And they work in a really competitive local market, so they're using video to not only differentiate themselves from their competitors, but to really elevate their proposition and to raise the bar to a completely different standard. And one of the things that I love that the president, Scott Mueller, has done a fantastic job on is he's also incorporated videos that when a customer makes their first purchase from National, be it a managed print service offering or a copy of contract or something like that, he has a set of personal videos that are emailed to that customer, thanking them for choosing National, recognizing that they had other choices, and assuring them of personal attention and service in the future. So video can help you get found, it can help you engage with the customer, and also it can create that personal connection that delivers excellent service and trust to today's buyer. The fourth question, so now we're going to move into social media, and I know that this can be a bit of a minefield for a lot of people in our industry. So here's the fourth question to ask yourself. We always have fresh customer-centric social content on our social channels, and I'm about to give you an example of a reseller that does a great job at this. But before I do, I want to tell you about some of the feedback that we had from resellers that have learned the hard way about who they select to manage their social media and their social content. So here's a top tip on a mistake that you can easily avoid. So very often, all types of companies hire young millennial people kind of fresh out of university to manage their social media channels, which is great and logical because these guys know how to use Facebook and post and update images on Instagram and other social channels. But the downside is these people don't have a lot of business experience. So you need to make sure that that you are training these people on how to conduct themselves in a business way so that they don't embarrass you with their communication online. The last MGs and things like that through your social media channel when you want clear, concise, well-toned and well-articulated business communication. So try not to make that mistake. And then moving on again to our partners, Ray Morgan. And at this point, I just want to pause and say that several of the examples I'm going to give you are Ray Morgan. And if anyone from Ray Morgan is on the phone, I really want to thank you for being a great partner and allowing us to share some of these competitive advantages that you bring to bear in the marketplace with everybody else. So here is their Twitter stream. And the first thing you're going to notice is that it's like a drip feed. It's little and often. And then the second thing is that they adopted what I consider to be a best practice of a ratio of 4-to-1 knowledge and educational content on their Twitter stream versus 20% or less promotional content. And this is really important. Remember I told you that Buyer 2.0 does not want to be sold to. They don't like the hard sell. They want to be guided through making a purchasing decision. So because social media sometimes confuses people and they litter their social media with press releases and product announcements and things like that, imagine social media in a traditional real-world scenario. And this might help you kind of understand where I'm going on it. So imagine that you go to a traditional real-life social business mixer of some kind, a cocktail evening or a speed dating, speed networking event, something like that. And you belly up to the bar, you grab your vodka martini, and you look around and there's 10 or so people there next to you. Would you immediately start spouting off your sales pitch and talking about your widgets and your services and how they were better than the competition and how much money you could save people? Of course, you wouldn't do that, because if you did, people would leave you within about 10 to 15 seconds and go somewhere else and speak to somebody else that wasn't quite so pushy. So just like that kind of social situation, what you would probably do is you would begin a conversation. You would engage with the people around you. You'd ask questions to find out what the challenges were they had in their business, and you would seek to build a rapport with them. And that's how you would build an engagement with that person, or a following, let's say, to bring it back to digital social media terms. So try and think about social media in a real world kind of personal sense rather than a digital sense. That might help. So again, now we're moving forward from the getting found section, and we're deep into how you engage with today's modern buyer 2.0. So talking now about blogging. So to answer this question, we blog on a regular basis. How would you score yourself? And at this point, guys, how are we doing out there? Is everybody still with me? Are these questions good for you? Kind of, I know I can't hear you, but hopefully I'm getting some positive affirmation coming through the internet. So we blog on a regular basis. And blogs are like sails on a sailboat. And basically, the more sails you have on a sailboat, the more wind you're going to catch that's going to drive your vessel forward. So try and think of blogs in that respect. And a lot of resellers say to us, why do I want to blog? And I have no idea what the content should be. So here's a couple of best practices that might help you in that particular area. So the first thing is, we'll deal with the why blog question first of all, is that if you've got relevant blogs on your site that are answering the questions that customers want to know about, then that's going to increase your chances of getting found. So where you find the content to blog about is ask your sales team. Ask your sales team for the top 5 to 10 questions that every customer asks them all the time. Those are the most important questions to a customer. And then blog about those questions. And when you do, in your website, make those questions in some way the title or of your blog. Because those questions that are being asked over the telephone or in person to your customers, they're going to be the same questions that your customer is going to type into a Google or a Bing search. So if you've got that question in your blog, when your customer types that into Google, guess what? You're going to come up really high in the search results. And then when you answer those questions in that blog, you're going to be able to start educating your customer and giving them the answers to the questions that they're looking, that are important to them in their business. Here's a screenshot of one of our blogs. And you just know from the beginning of the presentation we sell toner and parts and hardware. But when you come to our blogs, you're going to see that we don't talk about that in any of our blogs. Instead, what we and other organizations do that are successful at blogging is they follow this term that I love in America called pay it forward. And what pay it forward means is that we're seeking to provide information to potential customers that is important and relevant for their business challenges today. And by doing that, by freely giving that to people up front, what we're trying to do is show sincerity and honesty so that we're being helpful up front with no money exchange to potential customers. And then the idea, it's kind of a karma type thing, I guess, is that potential customers think, well, you know what, these guys were great. They really helped me with all of the questions that I needed to answer. I wonder, maybe I should engage with them and have a conversation about the products and services that they offer as well. So this is what a blog does. It builds a rapport and it builds an engagement level with potential customers. So again, just like your social channels, the do's and don'ts are keep it customer-centric, keep the content fresh and update it often, and seek to answer the questions that your customers would find important in their business. Don't product push. Don't sell your company. Leave that aside, and good things will come back to you from your blog work. So moving forward into webinars now. So here's a question for you. We offer engaging webinars to promote customer awareness and sales leads. And you guys are on a webinar with me. So let me kind of open the kimono a little bit and show you why we and other organizations offer webinars. And there's two reasons. The first reason is exactly what we just talked about in terms of blogging. Our hope is that we can provide you with information that is helpful in your business. And because we did that by paying it forward, we hope that you would see us as a trustworthy and honest company, and that you would want to work with us with the products and services that we sell. That's the first reason. And the second reason is about the cost and the cost of producing a webinar and its ability to reach a very wide number of people. So to give an example, on our sales readiness webinar a couple of weeks ago, we had over 100 resellers tune in and watch it. So think about that kind of cost per seat, if you like, compared to a traditional in-person event like putting on a customer appreciation event or attending a trade show in Las Vegas, for example. A webinar's ability to reach and communicate to a potential audience, that cost per person that you reach is incredibly low and very effective because it's short and it's sweet. Usually it's 30 minutes to an hour's worth of someone's time. So webinars can be a really, really effective way to put forward your message to a potential customer. But again, keep it educational. Don't try and sell your products. Seventh question, moving forward now from getting found, engaging with a potential customer, now we want to try and convert that visitor to our website to a potential lead and a potential customer in the future. So now we're going to talk about content offers. And content offers are sometimes referred to as CTAs, call to actions. So answer this question. We have content offers, white papers, reports, etc. on our site to convert visitors to sales leads. Rate yourself on that 1 to 10. And again, let's look at what Ray Morgan are doing here. And the first thing is that a content offer is a bit like a blog, and it's a bit like some of the information that you present on your website. But this is the most valuable information that you have. This is the material that you've learned in your business and become an expert about over years of helping other resellers. And the idea here is that you're still going to present that information to a customer by paying it forward. It's free of charge, but now because it's so valuable, there is a little bit of an exchange of value on behalf of the potential customer because you're asking them to give you their contact information, their name, their email address, or their telephone number, for example, so that you can begin a conversation with them. So this is now where your website starts to become more than just a one-way piece of looking glass where the customer's looking in, and now it starts to act as a valuable member of your sales organization for you. So this is what Ray Morgan has done. They have put in they've looked at one of the key questions that customers always ask their salespeople, which was, hey, you know, I'm trying to reduce the amount of unnecessary print in my business, and I really need to design some kind of print policy, the best practices that I can communicate to my end users in my organization that will stop them from printing too much, like print in monochrome instead of color, or make sure that you're not printing a nearly blank page when you print a set of emails, or use duplex mode on the printer, things like that. So Ray Morgan have learned a huge amount about what makes the best print policy over the years of being in business, and they've packaged this into a free brochure. And so customers can come in and they can download that free brochure in return for offering up their contact information. So now what is happening is that that then turns into a lead that a salesperson can follow up. And guess what? This is the beauty of it. The salesperson now knows what the customer is interested in. He knows that customer is interested in reducing print and might be interested in managed print services, and he knows that they're not interested in, say, buying a copier or buying some other service or product that Ray Morgan offers. So this is where your website can generate and produce qualified, warm leads to your organization. And taking that a step further, beyond content offers, we're going to talk about widgets. So here's the question for you to think about. Our website has interactive widgets to encourage customer interaction on our site. So think about this again, real-world example. When you were looking to buy a car and you went to a dealer's website, you're often going to see one of these widgets that enables you to build your ideal vehicle, choose the model, choose the color, choose the alloy wheels, and you can build what your potential vehicle is going to look like so you can visualize it, and then that's going to increase the chances of you purchasing that vehicle because you're able to make a better decision and reduce the risk associated with buying that car. Same thing is true if you've bought a house. Most mortgage companies now have a mortgage calculator on their website. Or in the financial services industry, they have interactive widgets that enable you to calculate the value of your 401k contributions in 20 years' time, for example. So businesses in so many industries now are putting in interactive widgets that enable customers to visualize what will happen if they buy a company's products or services. And again, Ray Morgan have done a great job here. They have a widget that a customer can put in the number of workers they have in their organization, and based on some pretty sound assumptions that Ray Morgan are used to, they can work out that if the customer was to engage Ray Morgan with managed print services, that they would make the following savings. In this particular case, 100 workers, you would save nearly $12,000 a year in print. So again, those widgets really help bring Buyer 2.0 down the purchasing cycle and showcase that Ray Morgan would make a fantastic partner for that organization to connect with. Okay, last two questions. This is where we bring it all together now. I kind of just talked a little bit about this one. I got ahead of myself. But ninth question, our website captures targeted warm sales leads for the salespeople to follow up on. And so I just showed you that call to action that Ray Morgan had in terms of their white paper, their print policy that they had. That was a call to action. And showing you an example of some of the call to actions that we have on our website. Again, we've packaged up things that resellers that we work with have told them there are important challenges in their business. And we've packaged up the answers to those common questions, and we've put them into free guides in our website in the hope that customers will download those. So again, if you put call to actions and content offers throughout the different sections of your website, throughout the different products and services that you offer, when customers download those and engage with those, you then know what that customer is interested in. So you can have a conversation with them that is targeted about their specific needs and interests, and you don't have to talk about all the other fluff that's inside your organization that they may not be interested in, where you would be wasting their time. And the final question comes back to, how do you measure this from an ROI perspective? Well, first of all, those call to actions, they provide you a lead list. So if you're keeping track of your lead list and you're converting those customers to, those potentials to new customers, then you can directly track the revenue associated with the marketing activities that those lead generation activities generated. In addition to that, we can also talk about website analytics. So final question. We have analytics on our website to monitor and measure site activity. Now, this is a really broad and deep subject. It's an entire webinar, at least, on its own. So I'm just going to stay at a headline level and tell you some of the things that are possible. So first of all, two kinds of ways that you can add marketing analytics into your website. The first one is basically through minimal, what we would call plug-in or minimal infrastructure investment. So you can easily view your site performance through Google Analytics or another service called Alexa Analytics. This is the one we use. We use Alexa. And Alexa, for a minimal, very low monthly subscription, like in the $10 to $50 range, it will give you a huge amount of insight into what's going on in your website. It will tell you the amount of traffic you've had. It will tell you how much time people are spending on your site. So obviously, the more time they're spending on your site, the more interested they are in your potential products and services, right? It will tell you how deep they're going into your website, so how many pages they're clicking through it. And perhaps the thing that I like the most is it will enable you to compare your website performance against other competitors you have. You type in their URLs, and it will plot a graph and show you how you compare against the competitors in your local market. So you can understand, am I ahead of these guys or am I behind them? You know, what do I need to do? So that's very easy analytical software to get involved in. But you can go deeper than this, and you can optimize and build your website. You can build analytical programs into the actual architecture of the website. Again, Google Analytics does a great job. The program that we use at LMI today is called HubSpot. And you're seeing a snapshot of the page of our HubSpot report right now on the screen. And this can show you so much. It can give you so much insight into your website performance. This is just one of the very basic reports they have. They have a lot more than this. But looking at this, you can see that we had more traffic in October than we did in the previous month. 6,335 visitors in October came to our website versus 5,792 in the previous month. Perhaps the most interesting thing here is you can see which pages customers are visiting and which pages are most popular. So you can see that our PPS2 page, which is our marketing and training services, that scores with the highest amount of views there in terms of 430. So you can begin to see what pages and what activities that you're doing are resonating with potential customers, and then you can adjust your marketing activities accordingly. And then it can even analyze your email campaigns. And I'm not going to dwell on that because if you're reading ahead of me, you can see I've got some work to do on our click-through rate on our email campaign. So that brings us to the end of the basic presentation. Hopefully you stayed with me and you enjoyed this. And if you look at those 10 questions again, focus in on the ones that you didn't score very highly on, and that can become your action plan for how you can get your marketing and how you can make improvements in your digital marketing in the future. And just to wrap up, because we're friends and now you understand kind of how LMI and other organizations use digital marketing, you can now see that we've prepared some call to action. So if you're interested in finding out more, you can always pick up the phone and give me a call, or you can engage with us on our website, lmisolutions.com/ENX, and you can download and see some examples of the content offers and the call to actions that we have put on our website for you to peruse. So everybody, thanks very much for sticking with me. I believe everything went okay, and I'm going to hand it back to Scott and see if there's any questions.
Wow, Christian, I have never been on the edge of my seat for a webinar like I was for this one, hoping that all the technical difficulties you were experiencing before we started didn't crop up again. And Yeah, we did it. So yeah, that was really excellent. I did learn a thing or two today, and I think we've got a couple of questions to start with. And if anybody wants to send over some more questions, you're more than welcome to. So, Christian, have you taken a deep breath and you're relaxed again now that you made it through? Are you ready for
Yeah, I
some?
feel great.
Okay. So one question that we have here is, what's the biggest mistake that you see dealers making with their marketing efforts?
Um, well, I think a lot of dealers do a great job with marketing. I'm not going to call this a big mistake. I'm going to say this is more of an opportunity because in the area of digital marketing, things have moved very, very fast. So what was cutting edge last year is kind of old news this year. And I think it's that point that I talked about earlier on, which is, and this is just not resellers, this is a lot of other industries as well, that their website is that one-way piece of glass. It's a shop front, and customers can look in, but the organization doesn't know who's looking in, and they're not getting to engage with those potential visitors. So I would say the biggest opportunity is for resellers to change their website to make it more bi-directional so that it can harvest sales warm and qualified sales leads for their sales team to follow up. So I would say that's probably the best opportunity.
Okay. Now this next one is a great question, and I know people usually say it's a great question when they want to stall to figure out how they're going to respond, but this one really is a great question, and I don't think you're going to have to think too hard on this one. But for somebody who doesn't have the time or expertise to market effectively, because they're so focused on selling, which is kind of the nature of the business, do you suggest hiring a full-time marketing person?
Well, I am a full-time marketing person, so I would say definitely.
Okay.
But let me expand upon it a bit. As I said in my presentation, your website and the capabilities of digital marketing today are so powerful that I think you should really make the investment in getting a really good marketing person or a marketing team working for your business. The value that they can drive is overwhelming. But if that's not an option for your business, then there are organizations like us and our competitors in the marketplace that would offer like a kind of virtual CMO service. So if marketing is something that you struggle with, you should be able to draw upon the resources of your infrastructure partners, companies like us that produce toner cartridges and other services that are offered to resellers, and draw upon their experience. The good companies in our marketplace will help you and will have a suite of services that you can take advantage of and leverage against the spend that you have with them for things like toner cartridges or hardware, for example. So yeah, so if that's not an option, hiring a person, reach out to your infrastructure partners like us, find out what they've got, and leverage their capabilities.
Okay. And this next question is one I could certainly identify with. Somebody who's saying their social media accounts are hard to keep up to date with, and it's even harder to write blogs. Not that I have difficulty writing blogs or writing, but it's kind of coming up with content again and again and over the course of daily or weekly. Do you have any suggestions as to how to manage all this and how to make it work and timely and all of that?
Yeah, well, you don't have a problem with blogs because you're a journalist and you ask lots of questions. And so you write blogs about the answers to those questions, which is, as I said earlier on, is what you need to do. I would say to resellers, carve out the time to produce blogs. They really engage very well with the potential audience. But again, if you're new to this and you need a bit of hand-holding, companies like us will have a package that you can acquire or leverage against your spend in other products and services where we'll do it for you. The worst mistake you can make, by the way, on blogging is plagiarize. If you go to someone else's website and you see a blog that's really interesting, from a reseller in even another country, and you take that text and you pretty much plagiarize it on your site, Google will know that, and it won't serve your purposes from a search perspective. So you do need to make sure that you're providing original content on your blogs. So yeah, that's how I'd answer that one.
Okay. And then email. You didn't discuss email campaigns today, but are dealers having success with those? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about marketing today is there's not a one-size-fits-all solution. I just talked about digital media and digital marketing, but in today's marketing strategy, everything has a place. Traditional print ads. If we were in the industry, in the right kind of industry, radio ads, television ads, things like that. So it's not that traditional media doesn't work anymore, but you have to have a lot of things in your arsenal, and email campaigns are one of those things. However, email even is becoming an older communication strategy for some consumers today. I was listening to a report on NPR a week or so ago where Match.com are finding that they're having difficulty communicating with their potential customers through email because the people that use Match.com are millennials and they don't use email. They communicate via social media platforms and things like Snapchat, for example. So, so email is important. Again, I kind of sound like a broken record here, but organizations like LMI and other people in the marketplace that will work really hard for their customers can help you here and have packages and services that can really improve your effectiveness and your hit rate on things like email campaigns.
Okay, we've got a couple more questions, and then we will wrap things up. One thing you didn't mention, well, another thing you didn't mention were vertical markets. And as most of us know, there's a lot of buzz around industry-specific marketing. Do you see verticals as an opportunity in this new world?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, I would say that, for anybody interested in answering that question, I'm kind of promoting the call to action, if you like, on our website. Go back and review the presentation that we gave a couple of weeks ago on sales readiness. We covered that topic specifically on vertical markets. But just to answer the question briefly, you've got to work really hard to engage with Buyer 2.0 and stand, head and shoulders above your competition. So whilst some companies are doing a great job with their social media strategy, have begun to put videos on their website, things like that, doing the right things, the very best resellers in the marketplace, the kind of elite dealers, they're raising the bar continuously. They're not standing still with their website strategy and looking at content that they put up in 2014, 2013, and so on. They're taking it to another level. Instead of having video content that just talks about the general industry, let's say, of managed print services, they are producing videos or working with partners like us that can give them this content that specifically talks about the benefits of their managed print service in certain verticals like healthcare or education, because obviously each vertical will derive different benefits from managed print services depending on whether they are a law firm or a hospital or a distribution company, for example. So yeah, absolutely, companies should be concentrating on producing marketing that speaks to vertical opportunities.
Okay, and another question just came in. Are you planning to have LMI services designed for Latin American markets?
The answer is yes. I mean, again, I'll try not to keep it sales pitchy, but we did announce recently that we're expanding our sales and offering to support Latin America resellers. And of course, again, it's going to sound like a sales pitch. I'll try not to. But probably the main reason that companies partner with LMI is because of all these added value services we offer. So we are very conscious that resellers in Latin America, rather than just wanting to buy a toner cartridge, they're looking for much more. So yes, it would be our anticipation that as our relationships with resellers in Latin America grow, that we will be able to translate and change our marketing services, which are currently based in English, into Spanish as well.
Okay, and Christian, I know you don't want to turn any of this into a sales pitch, but is there an example where attendees can go to see examples of your website services?
Yeah, absolutely. I showcased them. The great company, raymorgan.com. We work very closely with them on their website, their lead generation services, and the content that you'd see on their website. That would give you a great example of the things that we can do to help resellers in the imaging industry.
Okay, and another question just came in. Anything in the works for European customers?
At this time, we are a North American manufacturer. We produce the highest quality products, so we're already quite expensive, I would say, compared to other options. If there are opportunities with resellers in Europe where we can, this is difficult to say, but where they are viable opportunities where we can get the product to customers in Europe, and we have the budget to pay for producing our services, and getting them fit for European consumption, we would love to have conversations with people about that. But at this time, we are very much a North American company. But if you're out there and you want to talk to us, please give me a call. We'd love to have a discussion.
Okay, just when I think we've run out of questions, there is another one that just came in, and that one is somebody wants to know, what are your thoughts on animated videos?
That is a great question. I would say it's good. If you look at, for example, if you look at some of the videos in our site and our partner sites, you're going to see a lot of animation in them. So I guess in terms of animation, you might be thinking about cartoon characters like a Bugs Bunny, or you get my point. But most of the videos that we find that are effective at speaking to to a consumer they would have an element of a real person's face, because we're humans and we're social animals and we naturally gravitate towards people's faces. And so I would say that you need to have a spokesperson or somebody real in your video, but then you can use graphics or animated graphics like pie charts and graphs that move and statistics that pop out. You can use those to really punch your message forward so that so the customer sees them.
Good response. So you wouldn't recommend cat videos then?
Cat videos? I don't know. I mean,
I don't want to pretend it's fine.
Why
okay.
not?
Well, anyway, it looks like we've kind of come to the end of the Q&A portion of our webinar, and if you have a question that you think of afterwards you'd like to send along to, you can reach out to Christian or anyone else on the ENX team and via email, and we'll do our best to respond to you as quickly as possible. And once again, I want to thank everybody for attending the webinar today, and I want to thank you, Christian. Terrific job. I'm sure you don't want to be doing webinars in the future out of your truck with a cell phone and a laptop like you are today, but if anybody wants to find out how to do that effectively, they can email you as well, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, you are an expert now. Well, okay. Well, thanks everybody, and hope to see you all again, or visit with us at our next webinar. And just stay tuned. We'll be announcing more shortly. Take care. Have a great day, everyone.